in Congress have come out with a sweeping reform bill targeting police misconduct and racial bias. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Deb Haaland of New Mexico. She's a member of the House Armed Forces Committee and the Oversight and Reform Committee. She's also vice chair of the LGBTQ+ Equity Caucus. Good morning, Representative Haaland. Good to see you. Thank you for being with us. I want to ask you about what the federal government can do, what you in Congress are proposing. And the reason I'm asking you about this is how much of the problem that we are witnessing now on a weekly basis and African Americans have been dealing with daily can be dealt with by Congress.
Thank you, Al. Thanks for having me, Allie. The first thing I'd like to say is that Black Lives Matter. This it's so disturbing to watch that video and to know that we just went through this. We just went through this. So look, I was in D.C. this past week so that I could support my colleagues on the Justice in Policing Act. This police officer who murdered Mr. Brooks has been fired. The Justice in Policing Act, for example, would prevent him from going right over to another police department, getting a job without his record following him. So part of that legislative package calls for transparency in police conduct, and that is imperative. And of course, we just need for this to absolutely stop.
Congresswoman, I just want to sort of point out a bit of your background. You are you're on the Armed Services Committee. Your father was a Marine veteran. Your mother is a Navy veteran. Was a Navy veteran. You are calling, along with Representatives Hank Johnson and Ruben Gallego, for having police departments return military equipment to demilitarize the police as a start. While we're talking about defunding and making police more community-oriented, one of the things a lot of people are calling for is the demilitarization of police.
Absolutely. And Allie, Hank Johnson has been a champion of this issue for a very long time. I am grateful that he co-sponsored my bill with me, the PROTECT Act. Essentially, Mr. Johnson wants to get rid of the 1033 program altogether, the program that transfers that equipment to police departments. We want the police departments who have that equipment already to return it in exchange for funding, for programs that would help train them on how to handle situations like this. When there is an individual running away from you, your life is not in danger. There's no need for deadly force. We want police departments to return their equipment, their military equipment, get the training that they need. The federal government would fund that training so that issues like this, incidences like this that are completely unnecessary, cease to happen. We have got to stop killing our Black family and friends on the streets of our cities. This absolutely has to stop. And look, Allie, I look at this issue of Black lives being murdered on our streets by police. Similarly, that I look at the issue I'm working on, missing and murdered Indigenous women. It's not going to be one bill that remedies this. We are going to have to take a hard look because this has been happening for hundreds of years. Violence against Black people has been happening since the first slave ship came here a little over 400 years ago. So it's not going to be remedied with one piece of legislation. It's going to take a concerted effort by all of us to untangle this deep-seated issue and find ways to remedy it.
Congresswoman, you are one of two First Nations Indigenous women elected to Congress, so you understand this issue from a very different perspective. And the thing you just mentioned, the examination of the role of slavery and racism on policing, is a necessary process that a lot of people don't think actually plays into it. You are very clear on the fact that our history plays a role in how we police people of color in this country, and unless people understand that, we can't really solve this problem.
That's absolutely right, Allie. And look, every single person living in this country has an obligation to know what our history is, because we keep repeating it. And the genocide, our country was founded on the genocide of Indians. Shortly after, that started happening, slave ships came over here and have continued the violence against black people. Black Lives Matter. We have to stop this killing. We need to find ways of helping individuals to feel safe on our streets. Look, falling asleep in a car it's not a crime. That's a little bit of an inconvenience, right? It could have easily been remedied without the violence that was perpetrated against this man, this father who was at his daughter's birthday party, for heaven's sake. We need to find better ways to find solutions to these issues. And absolutely, our history plays a role in how we are going to deal with the legislation that we need to pass. I think we've gotten a good start. The Justice and Policing Act is something that we absolutely need to take care of. And I'll fight for that. I will continue to keep my eyes open and move toward passing the legislation that we need.
Representative Haaland, it's always an honor to talk to you. Thank you for being with us this morning. Deb Haaland is the Democratic Congresswoman from New Mexico. And a quick programming note, make sure